We have multiple surprising Leafs updates to go over today as ahead of a huge game 5 tomorrow night. We have some surprising updates that have come out. We're going to break that down as well as discuss some interesting comments from players and Craig Berube specifically calling out the Ottawa Senators. We're going to break all it down in this episode, but before you get into it, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Leafs content. We're very close to 16,000 subscribers. So if you want to help us towards that goal, make sure to hit the subscribe button. A quick reminder, we will be live following tomorrow's hopefully series clinching game with Darius. There's a lot of things to go over today, and the NHL is crazy right now. One of the best playoff games in a very long time, and in recent memory, in the Oilers game yesterday, and hopefully the Leafs game can live up to that, maybe with a bit less stress for us Leafs fans out there. But we have a bunch of updates today, and it is a big day because they are practicing ahead of tomorrow's game 5, and let's dive into a ton of things. Now, Austin Matthews, we'll begin with this. He was absent from practice. Now, this led to a little bit of worry. Granted, he didn't go down with an injury or anything like that during the game, but he was absent from practice, and it's a little bit interesting here. That being said, it is for rest. And we see Morgan Rielly volunteers Mitch Marner to lead the scratch. And it did come out afterwards that Craig Berube confirmed that Austin Matthews did not participate so he could rest. And also, like you saw in the intro video there, Joseph Woll is under the weather. However, he was around the team's practice facility today. You saw a bit of a sneak peek there in Berube calling out the Ottawa Senators play. What are your thoughts on this, Darius? At the end of the day, it is just rest, but it goes to show how much of a toll they're being put on these guys' bodies for Austin Matthews to rest the day before a game here. And it is interesting. We also have an update on John Tavares as well, which we'll dive into in a second.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Oilers game, to get back to that, very exciting, but I don't know if I want the Leafs to go down by multiple goals multiple times. I would take the series as is right now over that. But I think that, there's a lot of there's an illness going around Toronto, that's for sure. So that's probably what a couple of these guys are dealing with right now in terms of Joseph Woll specifically. But Austin Matthews has been, I think, the Leafs' best player. And I see a lot of the comments around, on our videos, on X, all of this, that Matthews has been a ghost. I don't think he has been. I think he's been the best player in this entire series, and not just because, and not just putting the puck in the back of the net, which he has been putting up points, and that top line has actually been really good in this series. It's everything else. I mean, he's been a monster, winning battles, getting to areas, playing, getting back on defense, not, leaving his defense out to dry. I feel like he's always back on the odd man rush. It doesn't even turn into an odd man rush because he's always back and in position there. So I honestly think he's been one of the best players in this series, and it's probably taken a bit of a toll on him, much like I'm sure everybody else, but we know that he's probably dealing with something and has been dealing with something all season. But honestly, like, if the captain wants to take a rest for a day because, he's banged up and he's been banged up all season, he's been leading by example in my eyes. I think he's been an actual captain in this series, and I think he's been the best player. Honestly, I do. And maybe not in terms of point production, right? But I think in terms of all three areas of the ice and the way he's supporting his defensemen and coming back on the back check and winning battles, these small things, the detailed plays, he's been absolutely phenomenal. So just a rest day for him. And then Joseph Woll, like, a lot of people were speculating maybe Joseph Woll is starting because he's not at practice, but not the case. It's definitely going to be Stolarz again. But pretty interesting updates from practice. And we have a ton of other stuff to get to too that happened this morning.
Yeah, we'll dive into John Tavares. It has been confirmed that it was the concussion spotter who pulled him out of overtime. He cleared the test to return, a very long concussion spotter. So maybe those concussion spotters down there, that was a long one. It had us all
From Ottawa.
Yeah, I was gonna say from Ottawa. Maybe speed it up a little bit. But again, at the end of the day, they want to make sure that he's good. And Craig Berube spoke out on that and said, "I don't like the hit. Puck's nowhere near him. Looked like a headshot to me." And it didn't really get a second look, and the Matthew Tkachuk hit didn't result in a suspension or anything like that, so I can't imagine the hit on John Tavares would have gotten a suspension as well here. But the good news is John Tavares is good, and as you start to look at the lines, of course, have David Kemp going in. Let's dive into the surprising details now. And there's no changes, which is the biggest surprise, I think, for both of us. I kind of understand it, but you can see here from Mark Masters, you have, and again, also from Mark Masters, when he tweets out lines, he always puts Lawrence Lawton and Yarncroke on the third line, and the fourth line. Third line is still McMahon, Domi, Pacioretty, just for those wondering. But it's Nyes, Cam, Marner, Holmberg, Tavares, Nylander, McMahon, Domi, Pacioretty, Lawrence, Lawton, and Yarncroke down the fourth line. Pacioretty is in. Nick Robertson was absent. And David Camp got the slot start in the first line here. So no Nick Robertson. I read your comments down below yesterday. Almost everybody wanted Nick Robertson back in. I think there's a comment from Jose that had like over 25 likes about getting Nick Robertson back in there. So, Darius, Nick Robertson is not in the lineup, and he won't be in tomorrow's game. And I think I understand it, maybe wanting a calming veteran presence in Max Pacioretty for the closeout game, especially with all the different, things going around, the stigma about how they're never ready, makes some sense, but very interesting. The blue line remains the same here, but no Robo for game 5, which means I can't imagine he's going to get in for the rest of the series.
Yep. And Nick, if you remember from our live stream after game 4 in a disappointing loss, I did say, I made a joke that Austin Matthews would come out of the lineup if they were going to make any lineup decisions and David Kemp would go in for him. I didn't mean like this. This is not what I meant exactly, but this is what we got this morning. But obviously Matthews will take his spot tomorrow in the game. But in terms of no lineup decisions, again, I don't think I hate it too much. I don't think I'm going to get angry about it, right? I think that it's okay. I thought they had actually probably their best game of the series in game 4, but disappointing result. And Stolarz didn't have his best game. So I do trust in Berube. I trust that this team can win as is right now. And like you said, maybe a little bit more of a physical and calming presence. I don't think Pacioretty looked that good in game 4, but we'll see what he brings to the table in game 5 because he was good in game 3, right? So maybe he'll be able to bounce back, same with the rest of the team, for a really good performance here in game 5. So I'm not going to hate on it. Would I put Nick Robertson back in? Probably if I was a head coach, but again, I'm not the head coach. Craig Berube is, and I have faith in Craig Berube to make the right decisions. And they're also up 3-1. Yes, you want to close it out, and I do think that they can, but if they don't end up closing it out, then probably make some lineup decisions. But we'll deal with that when we get there. Hopefully the Leafs close it out in 5.
Yeah, and again, some other things here. David Kemp is in for Austin Matthews. Just rest. Blue line remains the same. And the biggest piece of news here, well, Stolarz is back in net. Wall's sick, but also they wouldn't have changed it out. And yeah, I mean, Pacioretty was the worst player on the ice probably, even by the eye test in last game. But at the same time, it was the best collective Leafs game. I don't think Craig Berube wants to continue to. I don't think it's necessarily, it is a positive that the Leafs have this many people they can use. I don't know if he wants to continue to juggle the lineup a ton. I think they want to see and rock with something that's working. I also think, not to get ahead, that having Pacioretty in the lineup, especially against either the Panthers or the Lightning, will be more beneficial than Nick Robertson with their physicality and their, the skill that they have. You need responsible play. So I think that's ultimately the reason. Regarding the power play units, they do have Robertson on the pseudo line there in exchange for Austin Matthews, with him being injured, or not injured, sorry, him being not injured, but resting. And it's just very interesting. But the biggest piece of news, like we kind of already discussed, Tavares is fully healthy for everyone wondering. We kind of briefly touched on again the hit. The puck was nowhere near him. I want to get your thoughts on that as well here, Darius. He is going to be good to go. And this was the biggest thing. We've seen concussion protocols happen before where they do come back and they're injured in some way, not usually, concussions, but something else. He is 100% good to go as we expected. And that was what had all of us holding our breath. The result of the game wasn't necessarily, it definitely wasn't what any Leafs fan wanted. But losing that game and John Tavares missing any time, we saw how crucial he was to this power play. He is back. And this is the most relieving piece of news was today and him practicing and being 100% fine. He said he's good to go, even though the hit was, I would also concur with Craig Berube here, pretty dirty.
Yeah, I think the thing for me in game, in the moment, is when he went off the ice. Obviously, we know now that he was pulled off, but I think that's a good thing to at least know that, because he was taking so long that I thought that maybe there was something wrong. And even though he did return to the game, obviously they're going to do their due diligence, but with him, taking that long, I was like, is there going to be any lasting effects? Will he potentially miss game 5? But I don't think that's not even a question at this point. He's going to play game 5 and he's fine. He passed all the tests, but he was pulled off due to the concussion spotter. So I think that's a good thing. And I think that it's okay to change your opinion when presented with new information. And after watching the hit again, I do think, I said in our video yesterday that, maybe it wasn't that bad. I do think it was a little bit dirty. And I do think that the Senators are getting bested in certain parts of the ice and getting frustrated, and they're resulting to things like that. And that happens in a playoff series. It does, right? And it's not always going to go your way, but I do, after watching it a couple more times, I do think it was a little bit dirty, and he was trying to hit Tavares. That's what it was, right? He was trying to hit him. Probably should have been called. That's not the reason that they lost, though. The Leafs could have scored without John Tavares. They have enough firepower without John Tavares that you should score on a 4-minute power play, and you should score on majority of your power plays. It has been clicking in this series for sure. So we'll see if they get any more opportunities in Game 5, but Tavares is back. Everyone's feeling good about that. At the end of the day, the Leafs are still up 3-1 in the series. They have a great opportunity in front of them on home ice in Game 5 to close it out. So let's see what they can do with this opportunity this time.
Yeah, and one quick note, only 3 out of 14 teams have 3 wins through 4 games, and there's some people worried. I want to get your thoughts down below. Are you worried about the Leafs being up 3-1, or will those worries be, obviously heightened if they lose Game 4? But that'll wrap it up. Let us know down below what your thoughts are. See you guys later.